Welcome to Earrings Off. I'm Lou.
And I'm Teresa. Let's get started.
Teresa, we are going to talk a little bit today about your health journey. I know talking about this makes you feel some kind of way, but we're going to do this and forward, okay?
Okay.
I don't want you to be the most difficult guest we've ever had. That's not the reputation that we want from the co-host.
Okay.
Yes, because we're laughing, but you got some great information, Teresa. And you, sometimes when we're out or chatting, you share your knowledge just offhandedly. And I sometimes pause and think, okay, well, that's great information. That's something I didn't know, something I didn't think about. And so I want you to share a bit of that today. So to start off, why were you drawn to issues concerning health? What happened?
Well, what happened was my husband was sick. He had some severe pain in his right shoulder. He was being treated by his fraternity brother who's a doctor, but he was giving him some really serious pain medications. And literally I was in the kitchen cooking and the news was on and they talked about these drugs being removed from the market. It was two of them. And I immediately said to him, you can't take those anymore. But that left him without treatment. So he was in a lot of pain, so much so he couldn't even lay flat. He had to sleep in a reclined chair at a slant because the pain was just he was so miserable. I then bumped into an old friend in the grocery store whom I immediately noticed something different about. This woman was someone who was a severe asthmatic, so much so that she carried her inhaler in her hand. It was readily available whenever she needed it. And she wasn't doing that. She was happy. She looked well. And I'm like, what is going on? And she shared with me that she was being treated by a naturopathic doctor. I was like, whoa, what is that? What is a naturopathic doctor? So she explained it all to me. I immediately rushed home, told my husband about it and said, hey, I think you need to see this woman. And he agreed. I was thinking he would never agree in a million years because, like I said, he was being treated by his fraternity brother. Right. So didn't expect him to agree, but he did. We went.
Probably because he was in so much pain.
He was so uncomfortable. Yeah. And it was not like a traditional doctor visit at all. I went with him and she wanted to get to know us on a personal level. She spent a lot of time learning us on a personal level. All told, if I'm remembering correctly, because it was some 20 plus years ago, the visit lasted well over an hour and a half, could have been even 2 hours, that initial visit.
Right. Okay.
Basically, she asked a lot of questions about his, pardon?
She spent a lot of time.
Yeah, she spent a lot of time asking about his health, his family, immediate family's health, even some extended family, and just getting a lot of information. And you know what? We left out of that visit with a prescription of eliminating 3 things from his diet. And I'm not joking. What? That's it. Yeah. There was no pain medicine. There was no vitamins. There was no supplements. Although I will tell you, we did get into some of that later because, she scheduled us for a month later to come back 1 month later. And so he had to eliminate dairy. He had to eliminate sugar, and he had to eliminate wheat.
Okay. Wow. Okay. And that's, that's not a prescription, but that's not easy to do, to eliminate.
Oh my gosh. Right. That's not easy to do, especially considering the fact that that's all I knew to cook with. Right. And that's all he knew to cook with. And, it put us in a real pickle, honestly, because everything, most foods are made with, there's some element of wheat, some element of sugar in our diet at the time. There was some element of sugar. There was some element of dairy.
Right.
right? So what happened was, I fed him meat and veggies. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And his treat was trail mix.
Right.
So we couldn't use any sauces because a lot of the gravies and creams are made with at that time I made with wheat, and so the meat was basically very plainly baked,
Right.
with just some seasonings on them, salt and pepper at the time, because at that time that's all I knew. 30 days later,
Well, wait a
we
minute, because I'm still stuck on you saying you cooked with salt and pepper, because you go nuts with herbs and seasoning and all of this stuff now.
so
Wow.
that was
I'm
yes
stuck there.
that was an evolution, right? So I grew into that because of that's how it all got started. I mean, honestly, I was a very I didn't when I met and married my husband, my specialty at the time was baking. Now I could make some mean cakes and pies, no doubt. That's what I did. I have always loved to cook, but it really wasn't food that I enjoyed making. It was desserts.
Okay.
So, and I did a lot of that. So, and I had to, of course, stop. But let me tell you, 30 days into it, we didn't even realize that he was it happened so gradually, the disappearance of his pain, that we didn't even realize it. We're in the kitchen cooking, trying to figure out what was going to be for dinner that night. And I remember it like it was yesterday. I asked him for a bowl that was up high, and instead of him going to grab the footstool to step up to get it, he reached for it and was able to grab it down. And I'm like, oh my goodness, you're raising your arms over, you're raising your arms, because he couldn't lift his arms over his head.
Right.
That was painful for him to do. So soon after that, like a week later, it was time for our doctor's visit. And we went back to see her. We told her of the progress, and then she said, let's reintroduce some of these things back into your diet. It's clearly one of them that's offending you.
Right.
So we introduced for a week some sugar. No problems there. We introduced dairy, and there was a slight nose. He started having allergy symptoms like runny nose.
Wow.
And I actually I got that backwards. It was sugar that caused him the runny nose and the itchy eyes.
Really?
Dairy he didn't have any problems with.
What?
Right? No issue with dairy. It was sugar, and that caused him itchy eyes, runny nose, but still no pain in his shoulder.
Right.
We introduced wheat that first day he ate it. Lou, he was so sick.
What?
The pain came back. He just was miserable. He was like, I will not eat that again. And he hasn't.
Yeah. Wow.
So that was over 20 years ago. And there was no such thing as a gluten-free diet.
Right.
In fact, she never even called it that.
Yeah.
I didn't come to it didn't come for years later that what we were doing was gluten-free.
Yeah. Which everybody knows about now.
Yeah, everybody knows about it now, right? And so at that time, the way she described it was celiac, although he did not have a celiac disease. And although we didn't have the traditional testing to diagnose him as having celiac disease, because we did an elimination diet. The traditional test for celiac disease is they actually put this tube down and look at your small intestines to see if there's some inflammation. And if there is, then they say you have celiac. Okay. And now they have blood tests. Back then, the only way to do it was with that thing going down your throat. Yeah. But now they will test it with, using your blood.
Right.
A little less invasive. Yeah. But yeah, so that's how it started. I mean, from that I could tell I knew.
So through this, you could clearly see the impact of what we eat on our physical well-being.
Absolutely. On his especially.
Right,
yes.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. I was devastated. I was like, what am I going to do with this guy? He's got to go. I love to bake.
No, right. Yeah, that's sort of like my journey when I married the Muslim and no pork. That was years ago when they didn't have all of the products that they have now, the turkey this and that. Let me tell you, the struggle is real. The struggle is real.
Yeah. So after that, I mean, I talked to the doctor myself. I'm like, because in the 30 days, he lost 30 pounds. And that's not anecdotal. I'm not joking. For real.
Yeah.
Much of the weight was put on because he was unable to exercise. And he was a very fit person and loved to exercise, go to the gym. He was an athlete, in college and all of that. So having the pain reduced his physical abilities, right? Activities and ability. So he pretty much had gained a lot of weight that shouldn't have been there, but he lost 30 pounds. So I talked to the doctor. I'm like, this isn't normal. What can I do this is me and my old thinking.
Yeah.
This isn't normal. What can I do to feed him so that he won't continue to lose the weight.
Right.
The first thing she did was school me on that. Like, he's fine.
Yeah.
And that's good. And but then she turned me on to a support group.
Okay.
Which
really?
Which pretty much really saved us because it was a celiac support group. I went to the meetings, the first time I walked into that room, I was like,
did he go to the meetings?
Of course not.
No,
he just wanted to eat.
Yeah, you just went all in as the wife, didn't you? Okay. Not that good. I'm so proud.
Are you kidding me? He didn't. Not only did he not go to the meetings, he just wanted me to figure out how to feed him.
Yeah, right.
So I went to these meetings and I walked in and I thought, oh my, this is a bunch of hippies.
Yeah.
It was like stepping back into a different century, honestly.
Right.
But what I come to find out, it was not just about the food for them. It was, I'm in telling you this story, maybe that's exactly where this thing was born in me, because it wasn't just about the food. It was a lifestyle that they had adopted.
What you're describing, that's exactly what I thought. I said, oh, now I'm getting information about this person, like this evolution that you're talking about. Because Teresa, I'm telling you, okay, how can I say this? Love you, but you're weird. Okay, go on. Go on. Come on. I'm sorry. She is.
Thanks, friend.
No, go on. Oh, I mean, just odd, but go on. But she's healthy.
Thanks, my friend. Okay, so I've never said this out loud. So that's where I believe it began. And this group of people, they were very different, and they really cared about health and nutrition. And they shared with me, literally, that's how I learned to make my own flour blend. That's how I learned about all the spices I could now use. Because when you look at wheat, it actually is it's in a lot of things. Yeah, it's in a lot of things. Even some of the spices that are readily available that we use. I'm trying to think of one right now because I've eliminated all those, but I was shocked to learn that they use it to prevent things from caking. So, we like to be able to pick up a shaker and it shakes readily out, right? So there's some wheat-based products that they put into those things to keep them from caking so that they will smoothly come out of the shaker onto our foods, because we're such a nation where we if it cakes up, we're thinking, ew, that's not good anymore. Yeah. But in fact, there's nothing wrong with it.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, thank you for this, Fran. You have made me remember.
And you have given me an explanation for your oddness. So let's move on. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, but Teresa, now I know through your journey, because I mean we're laughing, but when I say that, I'm sure back then it had to be very different because it still is. So, can you talk a little about instances where you maybe were met with resistance by either, health professionals? I know you spoke about being met with resistance from your husband because that's a big lifestyle change, even though it was for his health. But have you been met with resistance from maybe health professionals or family or colleagues or friends, just people who were just resistant to this type of approach to health and wellness?
I can't speak to that, but I'm going to preface it with this. Change is hard for
Yeah.
many people,
Yeah.
and marketing is real.
Yeah.
And we've been taught how to eat, when to eat, what to eat by marketing, by ads, by
Right.
people selling things to us.
Right.
So anytime you go against that conventional wisdom, people they don't even realize it until you get them to understand that it's okay not to eat scrambled eggs for breakfast. It's okay for you to have, for what I had for breakfast yesterday was it wasn't breakfast, it was midday and mid-morning, and it was collard greens and sweet potato casserole. It's okay. That's okay. It's a meal, right? It's nourishment.
But
And
but Teresa, you say that, but I remember, when we've had breakfast and you do the greens in the morning, I've started doing that, but that was very odd to me to see. It looks like a salad in the morning. I'm looking at your plate thinking to myself, I know it's too early for that. It's really too early for that. But now I've just adopted it into my own eating pattern. Yeah.
yes, you have to get it in, and it's okay. But we've been told what? Scrambled eggs and bacon,
Yeah.
whether it be pork or turkey, sausage. We have been told, and everyone believes that they have to get up in the morning and that's the first meal of the day. But why? What sense does it make? So the resistance is in that, and once you explain it, people understand it, they get it.
So
And
the resistance is then, Teresa, questioning the marketing of what we're being told is the way.
you have to.
Yeah.
You have to. You have to. You have to. It has to make sense. Let me say, I don't want people to think that there's anything wrong with having eggs in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
But what I want them to also understand, because let me tell you something, in our household, we often eat breakfast for dinner.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying you got to mix it up.
Right.
Don't get up every morning and have scrambled eggs and bacon and toast. And mix it up. Have some greens. Have avocado toast. Have just you gotta mix it up. Where we get in trouble is having the same thing over and over all the time, and because Aunt Sue ate it and Grandma ate it and Mom fed that to me.
Yeah.
And because, see, that's where, I know I'm getting a little off your question and I will get back to it, but that's where we often get into trouble. And, I've talked about this whole thing of genetics.
Right.
Sure, high blood pressure, diabetes, those things are all genetic, absolutely, no doubt. But they're also influenced by diet. And if your family has a history of it, you must take a look at what you're eating, because it is passed down to you. The way you eat is passed down to you from your family as well.
Yeah.
We tend to eat what we always ate, right?
Yeah.
Until you know different. Different.
Like, the studies that we've seen where siblings raised in the household, the same influence, they get older, one has diabetes, the other one doesn't. But those are lifestyle choices that we later make, which impact whether we get sick or not.
Exactly. You're absolutely right. But yeah, we have to take a shift.
Yeah.
We have to take a shift. And I say that, my mom I have to give her some credit here.
Mm-hmm.
She was not traditional either. And I think this was just something I can't, my grandmother was a very traditional cooker.
Okay.
So I don't know where my mom got this from, but we didn't have meat in our vegetables. Not every meal did we even have meat.
Yeah.
We didn't eat bread with every meal. She actually she was actually doing some things that I've since come to know that were quite different, and also have in a way influenced how I am today,
Oh,
just slightly, because she did she did fry foods, but there were things like no meat and vegetables. That was a concept that was totally foreign to me, and a lot of my friends will tease me and say, "Are you really from the South?" Because I'm like, if it has meat in it, this was even before I was looking at being vegan and vegetarian.
right.
I'm like, it just doesn't make sense to me to put meat and vegetables.
Right.
But anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. This is your show, but still, I'd like for you to answer my question. How have you been met with resistance? See, you know what? Just because it's your thing, you can't do just anything you want to do. Can you just try to work with it?
Yes.
You just try.
Sorry about that.
Okay. No, you're not, but go on.
Yeah, I am. So you're right. Resistance was there, and basically it was because I know I went down that whole rabbit hole about marketing and all that. It was because of that, because of
go on.
because of what the beliefs that people have.
Yeah.
And I can tell you of one story. I'll give you two quick stories.
Okay.
One, after we started this journey, we got pregnant and I had a daughter. Immediately, not immediate, 3 months. She was about 3 months old. I was breastfeeding her. I was continuing to eat wheat because at that time I was cooking 2 meals, one for my husband and one for me and my stepdaughter.
Mm-hmm.
I still wasn't quite there yet, right? I'm nursing her and I'm noticing this rash on her face. It was like these million of bumps all over her face. And then it started to spread down her neck and onto her body. And I'm like, what in the world is happening to her? I go to the doctor's office, of course. I take her to the pediatrician. I'm sitting in the waiting room, and there's this young mother sitting next to me. When I say young, I mean like young. She might have been a teenager. Mm-hmm. She was very young. She was holding this beautiful brown baby boy. He was gorgeous. Mm-hmm. And when he first turned his face to me, his skin was visibly lighter. His face was visibly lighter than the rest of his body. Mm-hmm. And I said to her, "Oh no, what happened?" And she goes, "I really don't know. That's why I'm bringing him back. He had this rash on his face. The doctor gave me this cream to put on it. I put the cream on it, and she said, do it for 30 days. And this is the result of it." And that's exactly, I giggle, but it was not funny. I was very upset. Mm-hmm. I was so upset that when it was my turn to go take my daughter in to see the doctor, I didn't talk about her at all. Mm-hmm. I talked about the fact that she'd given this young woman a prescription that ruined her baby's skin. Mm-hmm. And I was so mad. And I said, I'm here because my daughter also has a rash, and you better not tell me that you're going to prescribe to me this cream. Mm-hmm. And she goes, "Oh yeah, that's the best thing for it. She just shouldn't have used it every day for 30 days. I mean, well, did you tell her that?" Right. Right. And so I spent much of my time talking to her, but I was really concerned for the other baby and my daughter. Right. And I said, "Thank you, but no thank you." And I should have then known not to go back to her ever again. But I had one other incident with that crazy doctor that shall remain nameless.
Okay. Okay. We'll have anybody to help us if we get sued, but go on. Okay.
And I left there and I was in tears for the baby that I don't know his name and my own child. I'm like, what in the world? So I go to I go to Good Foods Groceries,
Mhm.
and they have this supplement nutrition section in the store.
Mhm.
I'm walking around, I'm like looking high and low, just reading labels, trying to understand. I said, it's got to be something that I can, again, just thinking to apply to her topically to heal
Right.
her, right? That
Right.
because that's where I was then.
Right.
I didn't think about healing from the inside out. I was thinking about
Yeah.
outside in. This woman, and I remember her to this day because her name was Teresa.
Mhm.
She said, may I help you? And I was like, I don't know. I have this situation. My daughter has this rash on her face. She was with me. She saw it. The lady saw it. And she started asking me questions just like the naturopathic doctor would have if I had gone to her.
Right.
She said, what are you eating? Are you nursing her? And I said, yes. She was like, well, what are you eating? And it was like a light bulb went on.
Oh, wow.
That light bulb went off in me immediately. Oh my, she's allergic to wheat.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
And that's what happened. I stopped eating it
Yeah.
as long as I was nursing her.
Yeah.
And guess what happened, Boo?
What?
Her face cleared up.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
You know, and it again, it just reiterated to me that, you know, we are what we eat in so many ways.
Right.
And that we do have to heal from the inside out.
Yeah, and there's just no getting around that. I mean,
There's no topical treatment that you might put something on your skin that will make something go away, but that it will show up somewhere else.
yeah.
Because you didn't fix the problem inside, right? And I know, you know, dermatologists, if you're listening to this, they're going to cringe and say, ooh, this poor child is misguided.
Yeah.
I understand and respect and feel and agree there is a place and a time for all of that. Dermatologists, traditional doctors. We still have a traditional doctor for my daughter,
Yeah.
but she's more naturopathic, wholeness, wellness leaning than traditional. So I'm not putting, this doesn't mean a slight or a slap against any of traditional medicine.
And I hear what you're saying because it's like we've said before, and I really believe this. You can be respectful of physicians and all they bring and their knowledge, but the reality is that's your body, family. And you, just like any other decision you have to make in terms of your lifestyle, you know, what neighborhood are you going to live in, what schools are you going to go to, you have to figure out what works for you and is in the best interest of your family. And if you determine that some health decision, you know what, I've listened to you, I've taken it all in, but I've got a brain, let me analyze this. You make the best decision you can make. And now the research is showing just what you're saying, Teresa. You were ahead of the curve, of course, but it bears out that we have to pay attention to our lifestyle choices because they impact our health. So that's real.
And the other thing I will say to that, it's totally real. Even for me, 20 plus years into this, and I still learn something new every day. I still tweak and adjust our diets daily.
Well,
it's an ongoing, it's a never ending.
Yeah.
Because you age and things, you react to things differently. Think that your environment impacts how food digests. You know, it's just you have to adopt. It's a lifestyle. It is a lifestyle.
Well, that's what I wanted to talk to you about. How do you then, Teresa, how do you keep up with all the information out there about health? Because there's so much. I mean, I read different articles, but some of it's confusing. One day, take this supplement. The next day, no, this is good. And, you know, sometimes you hear you can drink coffee, sometimes not. So all of this information is coming at you. So how do you keep up with the information to make the best choices for you and your family relative to wellness? How do you get there?
I want to go back to something that you started this conversation with by calling me weird friend.
You know, I mean, no, but you are, and you're so weird you don't even know it.
Oh, that was
I mean, with the
Okay,
health stuff.
okay. As my daughter would say, that was some shade.
Come on.
So we are very normal. We do have. I have since learned how to bake. We have baked goods, and we've really been enjoying some during
And
this
they're so good.
during this sheltering at home. We eat all of the things other people, everybody eats. We have sugar in our diet. We have some dairy in our diet. We just we don't overdo it, and we try to control the amount that we eat in a day or a week or a month. So I just wanted to say that before I started this. It is a lot of information, and unfortunately, fortunate for us when we needed it, it wasn't commercial.
Okay.
Fortunate for us when I was trying to heal my husband, it wasn't commercial, and we were able to get directly to what he needed.
Right.
Right now, it is commercial. People have figured out that there's a lot of money in it, just like it is with traditional and conventional style of eating.
So we're dealing with the market in there. And
Exactly. That's the point that I was trying to make. We're dealing with the marketing there. And like I said, I learn something daily. You just have to, if someone's listening and they're thinking, how do I get started on trying to understand my body? I would just say, do an elimination diet.
Yeah.
Start a food journal, and I would say with an elimination diet, we know even back then and even today, there are certain foods in our diet that can have an allergic reaction in us. And I'm not talking about EpiPen allergic. I'm not talking about anaphylactic shock allergic.
Right.
I'm talking about small things that, like I said, when my husband reintroduced the sugar back into his diet, how he got a nasal drip and he got itchy eyes. That's small. He would not have related that reaction to sugar were it not because he was doing an elimination diet.
Right.
It and the funny thing, and I'm going to tell you how normal we are. He knows.
Okay, all right, go on.
He knows that sugar offends him and can cause him to have, but he loves it. And so what he will do, he will have a cupcake or a piece of chocolate, and he will follow it with a cup of hot green tea.
Okay.
And that is an antidote that works only for him.
Okay.
honestly, and there is a reason. I mean, because it's high in antioxidants. There is science behind why it might work. Yeah. But it does. It keeps him from getting the sniffles and the itchy eyes, and he does it to enjoy it. Now, that's sad, but it's true.
But he's found what works for him. So.
And that's what my point is. You have to find what works for you. Start with a food journal. Start with an elimination diet. And I will tell you the reason she pulled dairy, wheat, and sugar, because those are three big triggers for many people. The majority of Americans, I want to say something like 90%, she told us. 90% of us, of all of us, are allergic to one of those three.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
And what she said, I mean, I don't want to go down this rabbit hole, but what she said is that you can look at the underlying cause of high blood pressure, diabetes, cancer. It all goes back to what we eat. And the basis, the foundation of what we eat, think about it, it's built on those three things.
Right. Wow. Okay.
For most of us don't eat vegetables. Yeah. Most of us don't.
What?
There's a reason why. You think about it. Lou, you say that. You joking, right? You did that for a fact.
No, I did not, Teresa.
Well, so then you're just as weird as me.
No, Teresa, I did not. I'm trying to figure out, what did she say? When you just said it sort of sounded like globbity gloop, globbity gloop. I was like, what? What did she just say?
You're just as weird as me, my friend, because honestly, it is the truth. And I will tell you how I can prove it is I can prove it simply by looking at the standard grocery store, right? We won't call any names here.
Yeah.
You walk into the grocery store, there's 20 aisles. How many of those aisles are dedicated to vegetables?
Yeah.
One at most.
Yeah.
The rest of it is packaged foods. Now, think about the number of people and the number of products that are in that store. Think about if all the people who are coming in getting those packaged goods, if they were to then turn onto vegetables, there would be none.
Yeah. Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So yes, the majority of us do not eat vegetables, fresh vegetables. The majority of us don't. That's what I'm talking about, fresh vegetables.
Okay.
And your reaction tells me that you're in the majority. You're not in the majority, and you're weird just like me.
No, I'm not like you. I'm just trying to do better so I can live. But, wow. Okay. So, but you're just trying to be mindful of the marketing to not get caught up into what everybody's trying to sell you, but actually trying to learn and what works best for your health.
Yeah, what works best for your individual body. Absolutely. Yeah.
And so the food journal is critical to determine
very critical
how your body reacts to things. So Okay. Well, Teresa, that is great information. I told you don't be shy to just share your knowledge because people can benefit from that. So that's all I have. But do you have any parting words that you want to share about health and wellness?
I do. I want to share just this one thing about naturopathic versus traditional doctors, because naturopathic doctors, as I mentioned, they're not recognized in the state of Virginia. So therefore your health insurance won't cover it. So an alternative to a naturopathic doctor would be just to continue to see your traditional doctor, but have them do some very specific blood work for you. Have them do a food panel, which means they can check you for the foods that you're eating daily to see if your body has is responding well to those foods. They can check your vitamin D levels to make sure that they're where they're supposed to be, your hormone levels, because ultimately it's all about keeping those things in balance. And you mentioned about supplements, Lou. If you don't keep those things in balance, that's when you need to supplement. Right. And that's how you know what supplement you need, by checking checking your blood.
That's an excellent point, because I shared that with some former colleagues one time, and I thought, I think, Teresa, because really I say you're weird, but we're friends and things rub off on you. And I thought that was normal when you go to the doctor for your annual lab results and you go through that and see what kind of supplements you may need. And
I adjust based on that.
When I said that to them, they looked at me like, who does that? And so I talked to them about, that's what I use it for. So I go through my lab results, and when I don't understand something, I look it up. I ask my doctor, what is this?
Right.
And that's how I got a better understanding of where I was with my health. And it's critical that we do that. Yeah.
Right. And we talk about how commercial things have become. There is an app out there right now that will take those lab results and tell you what it is you need to supplement your diet with.
Yeah.
For a fee, of course.
Right. Yeah.
But you can do that. You can do that. You can do it yourself, or you can use the app. But that's how individual it is, and you don't have to spend a lot of money. And I would challenge people to not. I don't spend a lot of time on the inside out of a grocery store. Okay. I spend most of my time on the outside aisles, because most stores are set up in the same way. The outside aisles are for fresh vegetables and for frozen vegetables. Right. So I get the fresh vegetables, I get the frozen vegetables, and then I go on the inside aisles to get spices, spices, and yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
But I tell you, since we're all in now, and because of the virus, and we've got some time, and this is a good time to do some things maybe you've been putting off doing. And let me tell you what I did a few weeks ago. I sat down and I pulled out all my lab results, probably going
Did you?
years. Yeah. I organized them. My husband came in the room. He said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm going through my lab results." And I went through them to see how my health has been maintained for the last 10 years. I compared my lab results in different areas, and I just wanted to see how I'm doing,
Mm-hmm.
and it
Mm-hmm.
told the story of my
Mm-hmm.
life for the last
Mm-hmm.
years. And I could tell you, thus far, that's been the best time I've spent in this world.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's some good, that's some cool stuff.
Yeah,
So,
it
very weird but cool.
is. Whatever, you rub off on me, you and my husband. You guys are determined I'm gonna live. So anyway, all right. So
Yeah.
that's it for us today, folks. Teresa, that has been such great information, and we did this because we wanted to share this with listeners, hoping they could benefit. But as always, I've benefited too from this discussion. Thank you for sharing, because here at Earrings Off,
When we know better, we do better.
thanks for joining us. Have a great day.